Hello, everyone, and welcome. You know what? I just realized that needs to be over there. Let's try that again. There we go.
Just bear with us.
Yep. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Desert Farmer Podcast, episode 65. We are professionals here. So I just want to thank you guys for joining us today. We got an interesting, different topic, and we will get to that here in just a few moments. But before we do, we have a couple of housekeeping notes. So housekeeping note number one, what would that be, sweetie?
If you have a question, just write the word question, preferably in caps, before you state your question, just so it stands out to me. I don't miss it, and we can get that answered for you guys.
Yes, so Lori will be down in the comment section. She'll be kind of going back and forth with you guys, I'm sure. But if you do have a question, it does help a lot, as opposed to just kind of the back and forth that you guys can do sometimes for her to see that and call that out. And then housekeeping note number two is give us a thumbs up. So if you enjoy the content, particularly the podcast, we just want to encourage you guys to do that. It helps us out, helps folks find us, and it lets us know that you want us to keep doing these. So we enjoy it, but just because we do doesn't mean we should keep doing it. Right?
True.
If you guys don't want
True.
it. So, okay, so we got a couple of things we wanted to share with you guys here before we get to our topic of today. And by the way, we do have a taste testing today. It's one of those, just a quick shot of that. We'll come back to that.
Did
Make sure
you know
stay.
what that was?
Yes. It's real quick. One more time. Woo! Anyways, we have a highlight we wanted to share with you guys. What is it again? I don't remember what it is.
The Green Living Magazine.
That's right. So a few weeks ago, it's only been a week or two she reached out, right? It was recent. Maybe it was even this past week. So we had somebody, her name is Pam, reached out to us through one of the means and asked us if we would be interested in being interviewed for Green Living Magazine. And we thought that was kind of cool. So we had her out yesterday morning. Actually, you spent some time with her. So what all did you guys do?
Yeah, so we just walked the property. We talked about kind of what we're doing out here, what we're growing, what does well, water. That's what we talked about outside. Mostly just, I don't know what else to say.
That's pretty much it. Well, and she had a few questions for both of us. So we took a few minutes to answer some of her questions at the kitchen table. And it's kind of neat. She lives out here in Whitman and suggested it to her editor to have us as one of their topics. So I don't know when it's going to come out. We will share that with you guys either here or maybe on Instagram or Facebook, put a link to it there. It's easier to do stuff like that there than it is here on YouTube, and let you guys know when the article drops. Mm-hmm. So should be kind of cool.
Yeah. And
then we did say we hang in there. We do have a taste test for today. And then we have an interesting topic for today. And so okay, to be fair, this is a topic that I wanted to talk about more so than this is a topic that was asked recently. However, we do have a couple of folks that have kind of chimed in and asked us a few different times whether or not we are involved with Bitcoin at all. And I thought it was interesting. It's an interesting topic because there obviously is some opportunity for us to dabble in that from a farming standpoint. Wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about that today. And then the question was really specifically whether or not we invest in Bitcoin. And so I want to talk about some of those things today. If you can bounce over to our spreadsheet, I want to make sure that I stay kind of on topic. Mm-hmm. I have a couple of notes. I may need you to slide that over just a little bit so I can see it.
Okay.
So first things first, if you guys don't know what Bitcoin is, you are living under a rock.
Are you jumping right into it now?
I am. Was there something else?
Okay. No,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Was there a question?
Yeah,
before
I did
get
have
going?
one question.
Oh,
how is
okay.
the broken toe?
Just a minute. Well, let's see. You can't really see it. That's kind of gross. Actually, it's a lot better. It's still a little swollen, and it still hurts when I put pressure on it, but it's not quite as bad. It's been 2 weeks, and so it was actually stinging really bad up until about Tuesday or Wednesday of this week, and now it hurts when I try to bend it, and it hurts if I put a lot of pressure on that side. When I do my workouts, I usually kind of doing like, what are those jumping jack? What were the P90X jumping jacks called? Where you do it.
Crazy? What is it?
Wacky jacks.
Wacky jacks.
So I like doing wacky jacks, and it's surreal. This is stupid, right? But when you do the wacky jacks, it kind of puts a little pressure on your baby toe, and so I had to kind of modify that a little bit. But either way, yeah, feeling better. Today, the problem is when I put them into shoes, and luckily these days sandals or barefoot. I'll do barefoot around the house. Anyways, thanks for asking.
And then has Dwayne a new haircut?
I did get my haircut. Is it a new haircut? I don't know.
It's not necessarily a new haircut. We just lowered the numbers.
Right. It's hot. It's hot, man. It's 108 degrees
So
today.
instead of a 2 on the side, it's a 1.5.
Yeah. So if you guys are curious about the clipper settings, and Lori is my stylist. So, but either way, so yeah, it's 1.5 on the sides, high and tight. I like it high and tight. And I don't remember. Oh, number 7 on the top. We dropped the number. We dropped that too. So I guess all the clipper settings went down for the summer. Anyways, I don't like having a lot of hair on the side of my head. I've grown it out a couple times, and it's just irritating if it's near my ear. I prefer it to not be there. And so, yeah. But I'll tell you what, I got a lot more white stuff up in that hair, but I'm not going to complain because at least I have it still.
But there is still a lot of black too when, we cut it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're,
Yeah.
the trimmings, it's a lot more black than white.
I agree. And I don't know, something about these lights that we have is very flattering because you can't see a whole lot of the white in there. It looks like my hair is all black, and it's not. I can guarantee you. There's a good, healthy salting in there.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, anyhow, anything else before we jump into the topic?
Just a question in USA, which exchange platform lets you buy BTC with the lowest fees?
Okay.
So going into topic.
Sure, yeah. Okay, that's a great question. Hang on to that. So we'll share kind of what we do. So, so as far as Bitcoin is concerned, again, if you guys don't know what Bitcoin is, you're living under a rock, but it's cryptograph, blah, blah, blah. I am not a really good expert when it comes to that. What I can tell you is Lori and I have been buying Bitcoin since 2021. So we've been doing it for the last 4 years. And we had a gap where we were not buying it just because we were doing other investments, a lot of stuff going on with the farm and whatnot. But in 2021 is when we started. And at the time, the farm business was finally really kind of kicking into high gear. And we finally started getting, we were in the black for the first time in 2021 after 3 years of startup. And we have been ever since. So we were looking at ways to invest money, not necessarily from the farm, although the farm was letting us invest some more of our income. So you were still working at the beginning of that year. So I think you were actually still working at the dental office. And my 401k was not all that good at work. And so I wanted to have an alternative there besides just doing, our Roth IRAs that we do all the time. So I figured, what, I'm going to give this a shot. Had done a little bit of research on it, not a lot. Listened to a few podcasts on it. And obviously it had done really well. So I put money in, I want to say it was either April or June of 2021. My son was doing the same thing. It's a couple $100 a month. And I think after the first few months, it tanked, and like by a third. So no, by 2/3. So I think when we first bought in, it was about 60 grand, which today sounds great, but it was about 60 grand. And then it went down below, at one point went down below $20,000. And so, so what we did is we just started buying back in, just what's called DCA, which is dollar cost averaging. So we started dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin after that. And so bought a bunch of it under 20 when it was under 20. And so we just kind of started doing some of those things. And then of course, recently, just over the last year or so, there's been a lot of changes as far as the ability for people to get into that market. And it's become a bit more mainstream. And so we had stopped buying it for a bit, and we started buying it again just a few weeks ago, just to start doing it. And we're now buying it weekly. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Kind of leads into the question that was asked. So as far as Bitcoin, we do own Bitcoin, and so we've been doing that for the last few years. Not a whole lot, but it is part of our retirement portfolio. So it's not a large portion of it, but it's a chunk. It's a small chunk of it. And we're going to continue to do that because I'm a firm believer that it is here to stay, and it will continue to become more and more a part of all of our lives. And to some extent, it already is. And a lot of you guys out there are probably impacted by it and not even realizing it. Although most of you probably would. But the reality is it's here to stay. So I'm confident of that. And there's a lot of back and forth. You guys may have some questions here. My guess is our audience, when it comes to this topic, is probably not as well versed as some of the folks that I know. But I don't know that for a fact. So, but either way, so some of the other things that we're looking at as far as that's concerned, and then I want to talk about some specific things. So if you can bounce over to the spreadsheet real quick. So one of the things about the farm, obviously we're a farm business, and we have a lot of different revenue streams here. So the ones that are obvious, you guys already know. We sell fruit. That seems pretty obvious. We sell eggs. You guys know we have egg-laying chickens. We sell meat, chicken, turkey, pork that we raise here on the farm. We will be adding sheep, i.e. lamb, here over the next year or two. It'll take a couple years before the production is up. And then we have cattle that we own that a friend of ours finishes down at a small farm in Buckeye. So we have all of those things that are part of the farm business that are obvious. We also have some things that you may not realize. So YouTube is one of them. So it's not a huge part of our revenue by any means. It's probably these days closer to maybe 5 to 8% of our revenue. It's not very much. And it seems to continue to go down from year to year. But we are an Amazon affiliate, so usually that's a couple $100 a month. So we have a little bit of income from that. And, we do workshops and some of these other things. So as far as Bitcoin, we can take Bitcoin as a payment. So we have not had anybody pay us that way. And it's a little bit of a taxing nightmare. So we have to do some things from an accounting perspective to account for it. But would definitely be willing to take it without question, only because of reasons we're going to talk about here in just a minute. So we definitely can, and I'd be more than willing to do it. And some of the things that as we continue to kind of work this business and add different revenue streams, at some point in time, we'll probably have some digital revenue streams that are beyond what we're doing today, where somebody pays for a service or an online course or something like that. We're kicking around some different ideas. And so obviously being able to take payment in a form like that instantly or almost instantly is an advantage. And so we'll have the ability to do that. So that's one of the things that we're considering. So bullet points, just want to make sure. So payment, although we could, so we may start doing that. Talked a little bit about kind of our investment strategy with it. So we do have it as part of our long-term investment, as a long-term investment strategy, long-term, not short-term. So buy and hold. I to this day, I have never sold any Bitcoin. We hold it. And so every single sat that we've purchased, we've held. So, but what I wanted to do, I wanted to give you guys an example because I think a lot of people have questions about it as far as maybe how it works. So I don't know that I'll necessarily get into that unless you guys want me to.
I do have a question on here already. So
okay, good. So we may start talking about some details once we get into the Q&A section or time. Mm-hmm. But I want to give you guys an example of just how powerful this is. So if you guys don't already know, so I lost my mom earlier this year. So she passed away in March. Excuse me. And my mom was not wealthy by any means. So she had it's actually a cute little home that we're in the process of selling now up in Payson. And a little mobile home with a little stick-built addition to it. She paid, I don't know, $90,000 for it or something like that back in 2017. And it's worth, I don't know, let's die, 150 grand maybe at that. And so she didn't die with a lot of cash. So, but she had about 3 times as much Bitcoin as she had cash. So my mom, 74 years old when she passed away, she was a Bitcoin believer. And she had been investing in Bitcoin for quite some time. And again, she didn't have a lot of money. So, and I don't know exactly when she stopped buying it. So she left a whole lot of different notes. But I thought it was interesting. I want to kind of share with you guys the kind of the bouncing ball and how this worked, because Lori played a hand in this. So and let me ask you a question before I tell them the whole story. How much did you know about Bitcoin before you started doing the research for Mom?
All I knew is that you were buying it, and that's about it.
Okay, that's good. So really not much, right?
No.
So my mom passes away. She lived on her own, and it was a mess. My mom was a hoarder. We'll just leave it as it was a mess. So we had to have a cleaning company come in, and she clean up the house after her and all this other stuff. And so we didn't go up there. So they had to send, and we asked them, any important papers or documents, if it looks important, just send it to us.
I told them any paperwork, so I didn't want them to throw away any paperwork at all.
Right. So they boxed all that up and they sent it to us, a couple boxes, right, worth of stuff.
Big bags.
Yeah. And again, my mom's a hoarder, so it's all kinds of just basically garbage. And she had a lot of notebooks, and a lot of the notebooks were about Bitcoin.
Yeah, she had like a ledger that she was keeping daily tabs on it.
Yep. So they had sent. So you got cleaners up there that we don't know going through all this stuff, putting it all into boxes, and I did not know whether or not I didn't know how much Bitcoin my mom had. I did not know how. I know she had a hard wallet, but she didn't give me any information about it at all. And so at one point she had told you that she had
lost years ago that she lost it because she couldn't find any of her keywords.
Right. So she wasn't sure if she could get back into it. She thought she had lost it. So either way, before she had passed, she said she was trying to figure out how to get back into it and all these other things. And I think she had told me that she found it.
Okay.
And so, but either way, we weren't sure. Either way, this box of stuff comes here. And I explained to Lori that my mom was a believer in having a cold wallet. We can talk about that if we need to. And so, but I know she was keeping her Bitcoin on a cold wallet, but had no other information. And so I'm telling Lori, I'm like, okay, you're looking for, I didn't know what cold wallet she was using. I had no idea. She didn't tell me. So I'm like, well, it's going to look like this, a little thumb drive, or it might look like this. I'm kind of describing, right, what it could look like in this pile of just boxes of garbage. And so, and
then also 24 random words.
24, either 12 or 24 random words. And so I'm trying to explain to her what that is. So Lori goes on a treasure hunt, right?
Oh, yeah.
So go ahead and
tell them. All in our garage.
Go ahead, yep.
Several bags, several boxes of just stuff. And so I was on a mission to go through all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
So you did.
I did.
And I remember you got your little winning wiggle. Lori gets a winning wiggle, by the way. If you guys ever play cards with Lori, you'll know when she's winning. She would be horrible. If we're actually playing, poker, she'd be really bad at it because she kind of wiggles, kind of like, it's a little bit like Sasha when she wiggles her butt when she gets excited. It's similar to that. It's just not, it's not as obvious. Either way, I come home from work, Lori's got her winning wiggle. She's got paperwork all spread out all over the house. Well, in the office and in the garage. And so she's like, I think I found it. And I'm thinking, I
think I sent you a picture when you're at work.
Oh, maybe that was.
And I'm like, oh, I think I found something.
So you found keywords and you found a Ledger Live hardware wallet. And so I'm like, oh, and there was two.
Yep.
Two hardware wallets. And so, is that our meat done?
Our smokers.
Our smokers yelling at us, telling us our dinner's done. So either way, so she thinks she's found it. So now at this point, we don't know what we don't know.
We don't know what's on there.
Had no idea.
Yeah.
So she's got two Ledger hardware wallets. If you guys out there know what that is, you know what it is. So I had never used a hardware wallet before. Always had everything on a software wallet. And so I'm like, okay, doing some research, simple enough. Let's go ahead and get in there. We go into the first one. It's completely empty. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, she had said she lost it, but she's got a second one. The second one was a newer wallet. So I'm thinking, okay, well, it's the newer one. Let's see if there's any. Again, we have no idea. So going through the process of getting it set up and getting it put onto the computer, we get all the keywords entered and get it attached. And lo and behold,
she had something on it.
My mom had some money on there, and so my mom, who died with a home, it is paid off, but died with a home, a small one, And what do we, just under $20,000 to her name when it was all said and done.
Yeah.
So most of which go at this point is going to a lawyer, and you guys know how this works. So half of it's already gone. But so my mom had. Do you remember how much it was exactly? It was 0.66 bitcoins, which at the time was worth about, what was it, about $70,000, right? Mm-hmm. About that. So it's worth about $70,000 in Bitcoin that Lori found. And what's amazing is $70,000 in cash, if it was sitting in that house, or $70,000 in gold and silver, if it was sitting in that house, we probably would have never known that it was there.
Yeah.
It would not have made it here. And so, so this did. So now that's not the end of the story. So at this point, we're talking to the lawyer, talking to our tax guy, and the tax guy said, at this point, you need to protect that, and you need to distribute that to I have a sister, and so the estate is split between the two of us. And so he said, you basically need to dispose of that now. And so dispose of it meaning transfer half of that to my sister. We keep half of it as well. So what I don't want to forget something about that $70,000. So remind me from a tax standpoint.
Okay.
So either way, about $35,000 for my sister and myself, which is basically almost at this point, depending on what the home is worth, most of our inheritance from my mom. So my sister, who knows absolutely nothing about Bitcoin, she's heard the term, otherwise knows absolutely nothing, and she is in Wisconsin. So it's, I have to do something with this, and she's in Wisconsin, and I need to get her $35,000 lickety split. So for those of you who don't understand how this works and don't understand the power of it, so you guys know that if you had $70,000 in a bank account, what it would require and the time and the cost to send $35,000 of that across the country to somebody else, right? You can go online, you can do a wire transfer, which is probably the only thing that is fairly immediate. And that's not immediate. And of course, it's expensive. So I know for us, for Bank of America, I think it's $35 or $40, something like that, for us to send that money to my sister. And then of course, depending on the time of day, it may not clear until the following day, et cetera, et cetera. My sister had 35. I taught her how to go into Coinbase, set up an account, and within an hour, because I had to explain to her how to set up her account, attach it to this, that, and the other thing. For $1.50, I sent that money to my sister, and the following day she paid off her car. I don't know what else to say with that. That's like a mic drop. Here's the mic drop. So either way, so I thought that was kind of an interesting, kind of a more powerful example, a real world example for us of the power of something like that. And so obviously we can talk about a lot of other things if you want to. So if you guys want to cover that here, you can. We can get to Q&A and talk fruit trees and animals, all you guys want to. But a couple other things I just wanted to say about that. So the first thing is the fact that my mom was buying this. I know she was buying this in the teens, right? So 2016, 17, I don't know, somewhere in the teens. So I can tell you she paid a fraction of what that was worth. A fraction of what that was worth. I have no idea how much money she spent, but I know my mom never had a lot of money. And so I know that the bulk of that was just
buying a little bit here and there.
Buying a little bit. And we can see she did keep records of some of the transactions that she did, and they were always very, very small. Mm-hmm. And so, so a lot of that grew on its own. And she was, again, just a big believer in it. And the wonderful part about it is she would have had to pay taxes if she had pulled that out and used it for herself. But the way it works with Bitcoin and other investments is that $70,000 is, if you guys understand this, is our basis, my sister and I. And so what we have today, it's as if we bought it for that same amount and is only taxable on any gains above that. So also not taxable because she basically left it to us. And so, so that was the first thing. I think there was one other thing that I wanted to talk about, but I don't know that I need to. Does that cover everything?
Long-term holding for us, been buying since 2021 and it's done well.
Right. So either way, so wanted to share that with you guys, just realizing that probably our audience is not as well versed in this as
Or
like
interested in
the general
it,
population.
or
Yep. And maybe not that either. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's all my notes. Just wanted to share that with you guys. I know we have a few folks that have asked me that question off and on, whether or not we do anything with Bitcoin, and we do. So wanted to kind of share that with you guys and encourage you guys at the very least to consider it and learn about it. So because we again, that example I think is a really good example of just how powerful it is, and the fact that we would have never seen it had it been any other form. So I guess in a bank account it could have been, but
Yeah.
if it was cash on hand, we'd have never seen it.
Yeah.
The cleaners would have.
it only have been in a bank account, but if it was in a bank account, it wouldn't have been that amount.
No, because she never had that much money.
Yeah, and
So.
the interest in bank accounts is
Yeah, my mom was.
pennies if you have it.
My mom lived on Social Security, and she made less than $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
We know we see her. She didn't even have to do tax returns because
Yeah.
she didn't make enough money, and it was only Social Security. So so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. All right, any
so
questions?
back to the other question. In USA, which exchange platform lets you buy BTC with the lowest fees?
So the one that we use right now is Strike, and it's on the Lightning Network. So we use Strike now. We do a weekly buy. We do a weekly buy, and there's actually not a fee. So they make their money on the exchange. So it actually has no fees, and so it's an automated buy. It happens the same day I get paid. I get paid every Thursday. Every Thursday we buy a little bit of Bitcoin, and so so that's what we use. I know Coinbase is pretty expensive, but it is a good off ramp and on ramp for folks. Like my sister, for example, it was really easy to walk her and for her to get an account, learn how to kind of access it, and again, within 24 hours she had a paid off car. So yeah, but I'm not too familiar with too many other ones. So I've utilized Coinbase. We're using Strike now. Those are really, I think, the only two, if I remember correctly, the only two that I've used to make purchases. Went about 2 years without making any purchases at all. So 21 and 22 is when most of those were made, and then 23 and 24 we didn't make any purchases. Excuse me. And then we just started a few weeks ago doing the weekly buy. So
How are you so confident it's here to stay with AI and quantum computing?
yeah, that's going to actually it'll expand with that. So and I think there's two things. So first thing is there's a tremendous amount of money and power involved with the Bitcoin network. So just for the transactions, there were multiple transactions I sent to my sister. Each one of those has to be validated. It's a public ledger, so you can actually go back and see each one. So, and there are literally thousands, millions of computers that run to basically allow that network to exist. So not only that, number two, there is actual real term heavy wealth that's now going into Bitcoin because people can buy it with ETFs on the stock market. So, and most 401ks and things like that don't even have access to it yet. I can't access it with my 401k. And so, but those are the main reasons why. And it is one of those things where there's not an entity that can shut it down. So the only way it could shut down is for the internet to shut down. And I can tell you, if the internet shuts down, we have much bigger problems. Society as we know it today would completely fail without power, because that's essentially what it would be. It would have to be no power or no internet, and no internet is a big, big problem. So, I mean, people would literally die without some internet access. So.
And I do not understand any of this really at all. I'm learning, but I don't understand it. The whole mining of it confuses the heck out of me. But I know you were mentioning something to me about just that it's not the same as like, a US dollar or, these different dollars where you have to do like exchanges of it. So everybody can access it.
Right. So the first thing is, obviously the first thing is it's nothing. That's true. So is fiat money. It's nothing. So The only reason that the dollar exists is because the United States exists. Otherwise, it doesn't exist. It's a piece of paper. So that's true of all national currencies. They're fiat currencies. So they're not actually tied to anything specific. They're printed at will. Not necessarily at will. So there's reasons why it can be created. But the way a dollar is created today is its debt. And so we have fractional reserve banking. What that simply means is a Bank of America does not have billions of dollars in cash in order to give you a loan. That's not how that works. And so they have a fraction of every loan that they have to have in reserves. And so when they give you a loan for your house, you're creating money. Money's being created by that. So it is actually nothing. It's actually nothing. And so, and as Lori and I are talking about it, we're talking about the business, and we had mentioned that earlier. So we have, I don't know how, $150,000 worth of money that flows in and out of the business. A lot of it doesn't flow in, but it goes in and out of the business. With feed costs, it doesn't matter. So, but we do actually have a fairly decent cash business, right? So we have a lot of folks that'll pay cash for eggs and whatnot, but it's still a fraction of it. It's a few $1,000s out of a lot of revenue dollars are cash. So the majority of that is an electronic transaction anyway. There's not actually a physical, there's not a dollar bill behind any of that. So it literally is just ones and zeros already. The difference is there is a finite number of Bitcoins that will ever be. When the last one is mined, it's over. There are no more. So you guys all know that the government likes to create dollars every day. It happens constantly. And so because of that, the value of the dollar continues to go down. There needs to be an alternative. And so this one is an alternative, and it literally is for anybody. So anybody with an internet connection can transact in Bitcoins. And it doesn't matter what your fiat currency is. It's Bitcoins. It's Satoshis, if you guys understand that. So there's 1 million Satoshis in a Bitcoin. And so a single Satoshi is at this point, about a tenth of a penny. So, but that's a tenth of a penny in US dollars. It's still a Satoshi. So that Satoshi is a Satoshi anywhere in the world. And so whether or not you're in Bangladesh or Indonesia or Africa or Australia or the United States, it doesn't matter. A Satoshi is a Satoshi. And so that smallest denominator exists everywhere, and anybody can transact in it. And if I wanted to give them a digital anything, let's say a course. So let's say Lori and I design a desert farming course, and somebody in India wants to buy that desert farming course from us. They can buy it directly because they can access it via the internet, and they can pay us with Satoshis. So they don't, and we don't need to figure out any exchange. It simply is, how many Satoshis do I want to take for that course? You can't do that with any other currency on the planet. Not one. And so that's why it's here to stay. It won't go away. So, are there a lot of other options? Sure. I'm a believer in Bitcoin. Either way, it doesn't matter. A lot of folks are. And so, but in the end, it's here to stay. So I'm confident of that.
Robert said BTC is up forever because US dollar is down forever.
That's exactly right, because up is a matter of dollars. So you're looking at it as how many dollars is that worth?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And he said that I asked you guys about crypto in 2020. I feel vindicated.
Who is that?
Robert.
Yep. Okay. Yep. I remember Robert. There's Robert. You're not the only one. So yeah, I know. I listened to a couple different podcasts, and one of them is a big believer in Bitcoin and knows a lot more about it than I do. And so, and I can't explain it as good as a lot of those guys can. I can just tell you what I've experienced myself, and then of course the example I gave you guys with my mom's estate. So, anything else?
Okay, I got a couple questions. I'm just
Sure.
going to jump down because someone said, "Can you please add a disclaimer that this is not investment advice?"
Okay, sure. Have I? Yes, it's. You want me? I can put that. I guess maybe I should. I don't know.
We'll just say it.
Yeah. So it's not investment advice. Yeah.
It's my opinion and my experience.
100%. Yeah.
Okay, so step up basis applies to BTC, and my kids will not have to pay taxes on my gains.
Correct. Exactly. So that and same way, I think I was describing that with the 70,000. Well, at the time was $70,000. It's gone up a little bit since then. Not a lot, but a little bit. There are no gains to pay taxes on because my mom passed away and it came to us. So and that's ultimately our goal with this as well. So and again, it's a small portion of our investment portfolio, but it's a part of it, and it's a part that I don't intend to ever touch. So I expect that to go to our heirs. So like the Bitcoin from it's still Bitcoins from my mom. Every single one of them is still a Bitcoin.
Yeah,
and it
we'll
will
leave
remain
it in
that
there.
way. Yeah, it won't change. So, but there's other things you can do with that. There's already options out there. In fact, Strike, who we use, you can take a loan out against it. So instead of taking the money out and paying taxes on it, you just take a loan against it, which by the way is what the rich do. Caveat, little FYI. That's how the rich continue to remain wealthy. So and don't pay taxes on a lot of those gains. They actually use debt against those assets, which is not taxed, and under certain circumstances can be tax deductible, is my understanding. And so either way, you're kind of doing what the rich do by utilizing that as your asset that you're taking out. Now we don't need to do that, Lord willing, but could instead of actually taking that out. I guess it'd be similar to like taking a HELOC out on your house.
So if your sister, how she did cash out some of it to pay off her car, so will she have to pay taxes on that?
Yes, on any amount that was a gain the day that she took ownership of it, which was
took
7
ownership of it, so
Right.
not from previous.
Right, because the gain, because that it all that happened at the same time. So the date of mom's death was the beginning of March, 3/6 or 3/7, I don't remember the exact date. So there were gains between that and July 1st when she took possession of it. So and I told her this, I'm like, if you pull that out, you needed to make sure you include that on your taxes, because the money she took out meant money she cashed. So that percentage, she didn't do cash at all. So she cashed enough to pay off her car, and then she's leaving the rest of it as Bitcoin. So
Have you ever transferred your BTC from Strike to a cold wallet?
yes, all of our Bitcoin is now in a cold wallet. So we use a Trezor cold wallet. So we did that after going through that process with my mom. It was and it was because it's a significant amount of money at this point. I didn't want to have it on a hot wallet. So instead of keeping it there, we moved it all into a Trezor cold wallet. So it's all in a cold wallet now. I think there's a little bit on Strike right now, maybe $100. And so I don't know, once a month or once every couple months, we'll move that out, put it into cold storage. Yeah.
After this episode, you must add to gold, silver, and dollar a Bitcoin that are less important that our time that we are spending together.
Okay, I'm not.
Michael, I'm
Wait,
not
what?
sure what you're saying.
So, maybe he's referring to the fact that time is the most valuable asset that we have. Valuable thing.
yeah.
That's still true. Yeah, that's still true. So, but we do a little bit of gold and silver too. So
Yeah.
we kind of spread that out a bit. It's a small portion of it. It's all about diversification for us.
Yeah. And someone said artificial currency.
Yep, kind of like the US dollar. Artificial currency.
That's all questions on here.
All right, sweet. Wow. So no farming questions? All right. So what we'll do is we'll kind of release it to the farming crew. What time are we at? Oh, we're way early.
2:39.
Okay, very good. So I think what we can do is we'll shift to farming and homesteading and all that kind of great stuff. So I did want to do a taste test. So, and if you guys have any other questions or any other topics you want to discuss, go and let us know down in the comment section. But thank you for letting me talk about Bitcoin. I thought that story with my sister was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to share that with you guys and let everybody out there know who's been asking, like Robert.
Yes.
Yes, we are into the Bitcoin.
We are. Yeah.
Okay, so I had flashed that little guy right there.
Yeah. Someone said something about a cucumber.
Okay, good. So I'm going to give you guys a minute because we'll come back to it. You guys maybe down in the comment section or down in the chat, let me small cucumber. Let me know what you think that is, okay? And we will come right back to that. So, and we're going to do a taste test because, yes, believe it or not, that is ripe.
So
Okay.
we got Daryl. Daryl said almond.
Okay.
Major said that's a watermelon.
That's a really maybe one of those
Little-
little
those
like
little,
cucumber
like-
watermelon looking.
Yeah, remember those kiwi? Like
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, actually, they did kind of look like a watermelon. The hardy kiwi that we can't grow here.
almond.
Yep, so it's not a hardy kiwi. So
The
what
watermelon's
else?
a joke.
Yeah. Oh, okay, good. Actually, though, that little hardy kiwi, or there was
There was a kiwi that almost looked like a tiny little watermelon.
Yeah. Yep. And actually,
Yeah.
it was about that size.
Yeah.
Pretty close to that size.
Just
All right.
obviously it's green with stripes, but
Yeah. So we're gonna give you guys a couple more minutes. So, so you guys can tell me what you guys think that is, or if you guys are watching later on, you'll have to leave a comment for me if you didn't know what it was or what your guess was. So I gotta get a drink real quick.
Okay.
Cover for me while I'm drinking.
So someone had said something about being sunburnt. I can't remember where it was up there. So it
I don't
looks
think so.
like it looks like Dwayne is on camera. It looks
It
like
is,
you're
but I'm
pretty
not.
red.
Yeah.
But he's actually not.
I'm
I think
not.
it's the lighting.
The lighting does weird things with my skin tone. I don't know. 'Cause I'm definitely not burnt, but it does look like I'm burnt. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I'm definitely not. We're in the house by 9:00 in the morning now. So
There's a lot more coming. I thought walnut, but the texture is wrong.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Yep. That's fair. Actually, I'll be honest with you. That could be a walnut. We can't grow walnuts here. I wish we could.
Oh, I love walnuts.
Yeah, I'm not as big a fan of walnuts as you are. But
That's
if we
my
could,
preferred.
yeah. And there actually is. I think there is a walnut we could probably try. It was not black walnut. I don't know. Is it a black walnut? There is one that I think might be worth trying. But either way, so one of the things that, and again, we're going to come back to that. I'm not going to forget. So one of the things that Lori and I wanted to make sure we were doing when we were figuring out all the different things that we wanted to plant here on the farm, we wanted to make sure that we had something, and again, this is only off of fruiting trees, vines, and shrubs. We wanted to have something coming off of one of those things every month out of the year.
Yeah.
And the advantage for us here in Arizona, because we can grow citrus specifically, we can have fruit coming off of a tree,
Something.
vine, or bush, so a perennial of some sort, every single month. And so, I think at this point we've hit it.
Yeah.
So the month of August is a little bit of a challenge. Now, you can get away with limes because limes at this point are pretty much ripe. We actually need to check our lime tree, by the way. I think there are a few limes on there. We want
Is
to keep
there?
an eye on that. Yeah. And limes can be now into September, and then you have a few different citruses that are October, sometimes September, and then of course we have our second fig seasons that are in the fall. We were also finding that the jujubes, you guys will be seeing a video, got an episode, is a bead on here? So I don't know.
I have not seen him.
Okay, so a bead, you might be joining us later, but yes, we've got another jujube video coming. So we'll be sharing that with you guys. And jujubes ripen up in August, and they have 2 seasons. So we get jujubes in August, sometimes into September and into October, and then of course we easily get into citrus for the entire winter season, and then of course into spring when a lot of stuff is ripening. But one of the things that we have not gotten a very good harvest on and got no harvest last year because of squirrels, specifically because of ground squirrels, was an almond. So for those of you who guessed almond,
Yeah.
yes, that is actually an almond. Now, it's not in its edible phase yet, so what you guys are used to seeing is that little guy. Hopefully you can see that. Is this little guy here. So that is an almond that's completely out of the shell. This is an almond how it looks on the tree. Now, this one is just maybe a little bit underripe, and this one, we got 2 different almond varieties here on the farm. This one we have not done an episode or video on, but we are going to do a taste test here with you guys today. We'll talk more about it later in another episode. This is a nonpareil, I think it's nonpareil, almond. So this is an almond that's very, very common in California. I don't remember exactly where we got our tree, but it is pollinated by the all-in-one almond, which we have here as well. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to kind of show you guys, if you haven't seen it, how you get from this to the almond that you guys are used to seeing, this guy right here. So this is best way to describe an almond because it is a stone fruit. And as I start peeling this apart, you guys will recognize it if you've eaten a peach or anything like that. It's basically a peach. And it's kind of hard to see from this angle. This is a shell or a husk that's been, that I took out of earlier. I don't know if that's easier to see, have it be more like a really, really small peach. It's maybe the size of would you say a ping pong ball? A little smaller than
a little smaller, yeah.
A little smaller than a ping pong ball. So you see this, and what happens is this starts to split. And you guys can probably see those splits right there. And so what you do is you basically just open, and over time, this is a little underripe, over time that split will open, and you guys, if you've ever had almonds in the husk, may recognize that. Oops, somewhere. Now what that will also look like to you, so there's the inside, okay? So if you want to think about it as a peach, this is the flesh that you would normally eat. And if you had a freestone peach, this is the stone that's in the inside of your peach. So you eat all of this, you're left with the pit that normally you would compost, right? Not throw away. We got these all over the farm, trying to compost them down. Anyway, you guys will recognize that. So if you have, especially in the fall, you guys get the nuts that you need a nutcracker for, this is what you would actually see for your almond, okay? Now, that's not done. So this, if you guys have ever taken it out of a husk, this is the husk, the pit that you're used to with a peach, and then once you crack that open, inside you have the kernel. And this kernel is actually what you eat. So this is the almond that you eat. Now, I'm not a big fan of almonds. You prefer almonds better than I do, so I'm going to give that almonds, to you, yeah. And you tell us how that tastes.
I dropped it.
Uh-oh. I got more.
And Daryl had said, Dan from Plant Abundance eats the whole almond when it's young and tender.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not going to do that, I don't think. I can see Dan doing that, though. That doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how's that taste?
It tastes really good. So obviously it's a raw almond, so it's not roasted or salted or anything like that. But yeah, crunchy. It's not like, soft or anything.
Not soft. No. And so I think one of the things that I noticed, I had one earlier, is it tastes, there's more moisture in it. Mm-hmm. It's not as dry.
Yeah.
So, and that's partly because this particular one probably isn't quite fully ripened yet. So I think those can remain on the tree for probably another week or two, but definitely an August harvest for us. So that nonpareil almond is going to be an August harvest. Now there is one other thing, I think I may actually have it, that we harvested. It's the Dapple Dandy Pluot. They don't ripen completely or correctly. I think they're probably completely ripe, but it looks like we're going to be able to harvest those in August as well. So we found a couple of August ripeners. Now, we're still harvesting figs, so we still have figs.
Figs, jujubes.
Jujubes, we're in the middle of it. Jujubes are just starting, so we'll be harvesting jujubes all through the month of August. And then, of course, some of your citrus starts in September, and you can get a second crop of jujubes at the end of September or beginning of October. And so, pretty amazing, but I wanted to share that with you guys. I think one of the things about almonds that when I talk to folks about them is I say, they're basically a peach. So it's a peach without a lot of flesh. They don't understand that. No, you can't understand it. So hopefully a little show and tell shows you that it looks like a very, very small green peach.
Yeah, so when they first set fruit and then they start to get bigger, when you're usually thinning your tree by that time, that's what it looks like.
Yep, and we never thin these. Mm-mm. So they're tiny. So at some point, we probably don't ever actually have to. We've never had a heavy enough fruit set. So today we harvested a little bit late. Your all-in-one almonds are really in the month of July. So we're a little late for those, but we did harvest a few, and they're just fine.
Yeah.
But we do that. We only got maybe a couple dozen off of both trees. So these are 5-year-old trees. The non-pareil, I believe, is 4-year-old tree. Got the first harvest off of that one. And we did last year, if you guys remember or may not, we lost every single one of our almonds to ground squirrels. And it was obvious because they were literally chewing off the back end, getting the kernel, and leaving the rest of it on the tree. Every single, it's a few dozen on there. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them had been eaten by ground squirrels. Every single one. Yeah, we got none. Not we didn't get any of them last year.
And they were loaded last year.
There were dozens and dozens of them last year. Yeah. Better fruit set than this year. But part of that is chill hours. We got almost no chill hours this winter. But we did get a few, but not a single one that I saw was eaten by a ground squirrel. All of them were completely whole. Not one. So we were talking a little bit about that too, because we've noticed that we're still getting bird pressure. It's still happening, but we've had figs that we've gotten off the tree. We got one covered and one right next to it. The one right next to it is just as ripe as the one covered, and it's fine. So still losing a lot to birds, but not all of them.
Yeah.
So we're definitely noticing that and I'm pretty sure these are the cats that are helping us with these predominantly. Although the dogs can a little bit. They don't like the ground squirrels either.
Or the rabbits.
But I really think the cats are finally starting to make an impact. And they've only been out on the farm for a year. So this is one full year. So they've been finally through every season. This was their first season that they were actually out. Not full-time at that point in April, right? Because they were out full-time.
They started full-time in May. Beginning of May.
Okay, so that was after the ground squirrels emerged for the season, because that's usually March. So usually all the new ground squirrels are March, but we did start seeing them start catching ground squirrels once they came out, and they're still getting them every once in a while.
Yeah.
So what I'm hopeful for is that over time, the generations, as long as because they get the small ones, they're very, very adept at catching the small babies, which is fine by us. They're demons no matter what. But that's true of the rabbits and the ground squirrels. They're very, very good at getting the babies. And so generation after generation getting knocked out. So the only thing that we found, only issue for us here with 6 acres, they're really only on the front half of that.
Yeah.
So, that's where, fortunately, that's where all of our fruit trees are. So that's a good thing. But we've still got the black Pakistans in the back that were the new plantings getting all the leaves removed by ground squirrels. And we're not having that in the nursery.
No.
Which is where the cats are always in. And so there you go.
Yeah.
That's got to be it.
Yeah.
I don't know what else it could be.
Definitely helping. Okay, so we got some questions on here. Can you also check your cold wallet that was empty on an older laptop? If you are using a newer laptop, it might not be able to read older encryption.
Okay, I don't know for sure. We were able to view it though. So it came up in Ledger Live, but it was empty. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't have an old laptop. We still have the hard drive.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that either. So, but we have the keywords, and so we can try it again.
Yeah, it could have just been that's the one that she ended up finding again after she started the other one, and she might have cleared that one and put it all on the other one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she transferred it all over.
Yeah.
Because I'm very confident that she did. I'm like 90% sure that she did.
Yeah.
I just don't know for a fact that she did. So hey.
My potted Dorset apple tree suffered earlier in the summer, but I've had it under a shade cloth recently. It has developed blossoms. Should I take them off?
No, I don't think you necessarily need to worry about the blossoms. They're probably not going to turn into fruit. If the tree is struggling and you want to make sure that it's not putting energy into trying to fruit, maybe then I would, if it's struggling. So if it's not, I wouldn't really worry about it too much. Assuming that you've got it in shade, partial shade, did they say?
Yeah, so under a shade cloth recently,
Okay.
just because it was it had suffered earlier in the summer.
Yeah, and that's definitely one thing where we have some potted plants here, and if we could get them into the shade, I probably would. Eventually one of them will be this rose. If they're all roses, that particular rose probably will. And maybe we'll move these over and put them underneath the olive trees. So, because eventually the olive trees will shade those. Because the potted plants here in Arizona during the summertime could definitely use some shade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The main cause of browning leaves on your pecan trees is lack of water or lack of zinc.
So we do both. So we do a tremendous amount of water. It is ridiculous how much water we put on those. And we've been foliar spraying zinc this year. So we've got both of those tackled, and we still have the browning. So pretty confident it's water. And we give it, we'd have to guess. I know it gets 180 gallons of irrigation a couple days a week, and then you drop a hose on each one of those and run it for how long would you say?
A few minutes.
So it's getting it's about 12 gallons a minute.
Okay.
So if you're doing 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's probably
It's
not
a lot.
quite 10 minutes, probably 3 to 5 minutes, but
Yeah, so if you figure 5 minutes, you got 70,
Yeah.
60, 70 gallons.
Yeah.
And so, they're getting good 250 plus gallons a week. And one of them looks great. So I think it is, I can't.
The potted one.
It was the potted one, yeah. I can't remember which variety that is for the life of me. Either way, I think no, that's not the Mahon. So the Mahon and the Elliott are both struggling. And was it the Western Schley?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Western Schley looks really good.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. It's actually best for this climate anyway. But but it actually looks fine. So it's got a little bit of browning, but it's only really at the tips. And we get that off and on a lot of different trees.
I noticed some of them, though, it was like new growth, and then it got really hot, and so it kind of crisped up the leaves.
Yeah, I think that might be a secondary issue. But yeah, we started doing that. We actually started the foliar spray last year, but this year was the first time we really started it in the spring, so we're consistent with that. And yeah, no matter what we do, by the time we hit July, we start getting some browning. It happens in July and August, and then they get some new growth that pushes out in September. But they did actually grow a few feet this year, so we got a couple of feet of growth.
They did good.
Yeah,
Best this year than they have. So.
Yeah, and I think the zinc, to your point, the zinc foliar feed definitely must have made a difference, because we did get a lot of good, strong, solid growth right out of the gate. And so I'm hopeful for those. It's just, it's definitely not something we would do again, only because of the sheer volume of water it requires. And, that just doesn't feel right for me to do that. So out here.
So banana peppers are ready right now also, so
Yes.
someone had mentioned that.
Yeah, peppers. Yeah, jalapenos. Goodness gracious. We've been harvesting those since early spring.
Yeah. Pros, cons, growing jujube trees.
Yeah,
it's
so
257s, and I have several questions, so make sure don't spend too much time on it.
Okay, so what I'll say is we will have a video on that here over next weekend. Tomorrow's going to be a fig video. Next weekend is going to be a jujube video, so I promise we will answer most of those questions in that video. Major pros, they grow like crazy here. They produce like crazy here, and they are really truly it's a desert tree. So it's a tree designed for the desert. It loves the heat. It hates the cold, but it's fine in the winter. It has no problems with our winters. It's just dormant. And then the major disadvantage is thorns. Every one of them has thorns. We talk about it in that video too. But that's fine.
I think thorns, and then I think also
suckers.
that it's not the greatest fruit.
It's not all that.
It's a dried apple.
It's a dried apple, so it's probably nothing to write home about. It's just very.
It's not
unique.
your peach.
No, it's definitely not a peach.
Not your regular apple.
Yeah, I would never tell anybody you're wrong if you're not growing a jujube. I will tell you you're wrong if you're not growing a peach.
Yeah.
Unless you just don't like peaches.
What cold wallet do you recommend?
We use Trezor. Trezor is the one that we're using now. I like it. I think that the interface is really good. We have a Ledger Live as well, because that's what Mom used, and so we're used to that platform also. We could have stayed on that platform, but I didn't want to, so we went to Trezor. I've used the Exodus wallet, cold wallet for goodness since 2021, and I like that as a hot wallet. And it does integrate seamlessly with the Trezor, which is one of the reasons I wanted it. So I still have a little bit of non-Bitcoin, what I call garbage coins out there. There's another special term for that. You guys all know what it is. But we have, I think, some Cardano. I think that's the only other thing that I have at this point. But either way, so I can see I don't have that in cold storage because it's not worth it. It's a couple $100. I leave that on Exodus for now. So it's there.
Did you sometimes taste the flesh of the almonds?
I have not. So have not tried that. So.
I never thought to do almonds. Have to look for a video for that. Did you notice small amount of ground squirrels this year?
It does seem to me on the front half of the farm that there are less ground squirrels, and we've seen the cats catch them. The dogs don't like them either. So in fact, we got a video up on TikTok of the dogs chasing a ground squirrel in the garden beds earlier this year. It was the trees were all still dormant, so that you took that video a few months ago.
Yeah.
But they don't like them either.
I thought you might be discussing how you were taking Bitcoin for food purchases from your farm.
We can. So we did talk. I'm not sure. We did talk briefly about that. So we do have the ability to do that, and I would be happy to do it. I mean, if somebody wants to pay Bitcoin for pretty much anything we have here, I'll take it. It's kind of a little bit of an accounting nightmare, but we can account for it. So Yeah.
How do you water peach trees in July, August?
So peach trees are on the same schedule that we shared that our summer schedule with you guys about a month ago. Usually starting in June-ish. I think we started in May this year. Pretty much keep it all steady. So peaches are getting watered twice a week, 60 gallons each watering. So in the middle of the night. So those run when it's dark outside. There's very little evaporation the way we water anyway, but just to make sure that we reduce the evaporation as much as possible. All of our irrigation is done at night with only a couple of exceptions. So.
That's it.
Hey, look at that. Do we make it in time?
Yep.
Nice. All right, so I know today was a little bit different. Turnout's a little bit different, but we wanted to share that with you guys and encourage, our crew here to at least consider some of this stuff. We've had a very good experience with it and are believers. So either way, so this was the Desert Farmer Podcast, episode 65. And just want to encourage you guys. We talked a little bit about it. I think Misko might have been talking about it too. But the most valuable thing we have on the planet, it's actually not Bitcoin, it's not gold, it's not the US dollar. It's time. And you guys choose to spend that here with us, and we don't take that for granted. This podcast is our way of making sure that we can give some time back to you guys. So we want it to be all about you. If you have questions for us that you want us to cover here that you have for us, please send those to us any way you want. You can find us pretty much all over the internet. You can leave comments here on YouTube. You can message us on Facebook or Instagram, now on TikTok, EON Farm. You can do that there. Our website, you can easily message us there. Email address and stuff is there, easy to find. Lori's phone number, again, is all over the internet. So you can text her or call her. And then if anybody really does want to send us a letter someday, a handwritten letter, go for it. That'd be kind of cool. You can always do that too. You can find it's very easy to find the farm, type in Edge of Nowhere Farm in a Google Map search, and you will see us there. All right. So again, this is the Desert Farmer Podcast, episode 65. We do this every Saturday at 2:00 Arizona time. Would love to see you here next week. But until then, I want to remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere,
So can you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.